Okay, so we're going to show you how to set up your document in Photopea. So when you open up Photopea, it's going to look like this. You won't have a project created yet. So the first thing we need to do is to create a project. So let's go to File, New. And you can see here I've named it SIP Advert. That's because that's what we're working on at this point. I've set it to print A4, so it may be set to for example, social. When you open it up, you need to go to print A4. And the dots per inch is very important. It needs to be set to 300, which is printing quality. If it was set to 72 dots per inch, then that is the standard quality for a screen, which is much more forgiving than a printer. So if you were to print a image which was set to 72 dots per inch, it would actually be quite pixelated when you print it off. So a printer goes up to about 600 dots per inch, so it's important to make sure it's at least that 300 mark to get the quality you need for printing. So we've named our project. We've got the 300 dots per inch and it's set to print A4. So we're going to create that now. Okay, so you'll get a blank document come up. Now the first thing we need to do with this document is to set our margins, and the reason you set margins for something that you're going to print is to ensure that the text and the images don't get too close to the edge of your document and therefore become at risk of being cut off by the printer and obviously making your work look very messy. So to add these margins in, what we need to do is go to View. You need to make sure this extras is ticked and then go to Show and select Grid. So that's extras ticked, Show and Grid. Now this will just help us set up the margins, so we'll get rid of this in a moment. And also just to note, all of these grids and margins, they're not visible on your final piece of work when you export it. So it's really just there as a guide for you. Okay, so we're going to go back to View and we're now going to select Rulers. And you can see these rulers have appeared here and here. Now the reason we set the grid is to make it easier to put these rulers in the correct place. If you try and do it freehand without the grid, it's very hard to get it exactly right so that the margin is the same all the way around. So what we're going to do is just hold down the left click and drag. You can see there this blue line has appeared. So I'm going to set that to 2 squares in from the edge of my A4 document. I'm then going to do the same on this side and on the bottom and on the right hand side. There we are. So that's our margin set up. So we're going to go back to View, back to Show and remove the grid. And you can see that we have our margin around the outside. Now that's quite a narrow margin. If you wanted to set it to say 3 squares in, just to really make sure that nothing's going to get cut off and add that bit of a border to your document, then that's absolutely fine. Now the next thing we're going to do is just to make sure that these margins don't move now by accident when we're working on our document. I'm just going to go to Lock Guides, and you can see now that I can't move that margin anymore. If you want to unlock it and move it again, you can unlock it like that, and you can see that it's now possible to move it. And also you can clear all of the guides if you're not happy with them. You can just go in and press clear, like so. So that's how you set up your margins. The other thing you might need to do is zoom in and out, because this document is quite zoomed out to start off with. Now to do that, you just hold down the Control key and use the scroller on your mouse forward or backwards to zoom in and out, and you can see that I'm going to do that there. So this is what your document might look like, so that's how you do that as well. Go on to the next video and we'll start showing you some of the main tools in Photopea.